Human rights activists say the beating and torture of children is continuing in Ukraine, despite the new criminal code and the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which were adopted by the government last year. The inhuman and degrading treatment of children is endemic in many countries, but the situation in Ukraine is worse, as the lack of data makes the magnitude of the problem difficult to ascertain.
Діти потребують більш ретельно.
We do not have any specific data regarding children only. Complaints from children require much more careful approach and detailed examination. Negligence of the public authorities may lead to Ukraine losing its future generation.
Over the last year, the Kharkiv Human Rights Protection Group had been analyzing the work of detention centers and social rehabilitation facilities where the most ill treatment cases were witnessed. Their report unveils physical violence, threats, psychological pressure, unsanitary living conditions, low quality of health service, and lack of legal support for detained children. Lack of ability to connect with the outside world puts off the possibility of making a complaint.
Ukraine's legislation is not so bad in this regard. However, we have to change the day-to-day modality. All those humiliated children that are kept in custodial institutions need better social support and medical assistance.
With a budget of almost $2 million, the EU and UNICEF are cooperating to reform juvenile justice systems in 9 countries, including Ukraine, in line with the international standards. UNICEF welcomed the state's path towards capacity building in preventing tortures after President Yanukovych signed the national concept of criminal justice of children. But when incidents of violence occur, lack of special bodies on investigation makes the problem invisible.
Children's rights are still violated, particularly when children are detained in the closed facilities. So we recommend that the government of Ukraine to continue the good path which is already started, to change its practice not to abuse children in detention facilities, but also not to detain children to long period unnecessarily.
While the government is deciding on future changes of juvenile legislation, UNICEF suggests to begin from the masses and introduce mandatory professional trainings and skills development. Although Ukraine has ratified the main international instruments of children's rights protection, the juvenile system remains poorly developed in the country. No clear practice of recording and responding of incidents, as well as lack of statistics, make kids vulnerable. But many say even without global legislation changes, at least a change of approach will also bring some results. Олександра Молоткова, Press TV, Kyiv.